The moment my son pointed at me in that courtroom, his hands shaking with rage, his voice echoing off the cold wooden walls as he yelled, "This old woman only knows how to waste what she never earned," everything inside me collapsed. I felt my chest tighten, my breath freeze, and my entire life, every sacrifice, every night I stayed awake for him, every dream I buried so he could live, flash before my eyes. I don't think I've ever felt a pain that sharp, that humiliating, that final, and the worst part, he wasn't shouting at a stranger. He was shouting at his own mother, at me. I know this sounds unreal, and trust me, I wish it was. But it's my reality, and I still can't decide whether I made the right decision or not.
So tell me, was I wrong for what I did? Would you have done the same thing?
I guess to understand how things reached that point, that horrifying moment in court, you need to know the whole story from the start.
I wasn't born into money, privilege, or anything fancy. In fact, my life was the complete opposite.
I came from a tiny rural town where survival was the only dream people had. My father was a cleaner. My mother worked in homes cooking food for families that never once looked her in the eyes. I grew up watching them come home exhausted, but still managing to smile at me, still pushing me to study, still telling me, "Beta, your life will be better than ours." I believed them, maybe too much, because I started working the moment I turned 14. I didn't have the luxury to dream. I barely had the luxury to sleep. But I worked, studied, and climbed my way out of the life I was born into. By the time I turned 28, I had managed to land a government job. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable, respectable, and enough to build a future with. Around that time, I met my husband. He was charming, mature, and made me feel safe, something I had never really felt before. We got married within a year, and for a long time everything felt settled, peaceful. We had our son, Ian, 2 years later. Everything in my life started revolving around him. Every decision, every purchase, every plan. If parenting had a textbook, I followed every page religiously. I didn't just love him, I built my entire existence around him. I still remember the nights I would sit beside him while he slept, my hands aching from work, my mind too tired to think, but my heart full because he was there. Whenever he cried, I carried him. Whenever he wished for something, I made it happen. I wasn't a perfect mother, but I did everything I could with what I had. When my husband suddenly passed away due to a heart attack, Ian was only 11. I became both mother and father overnight. I took every responsibility, every burden, every bill, and I bore it with pride. I didn't complain, not even once, because he was my son. My entire world. Years passed, and Ian grew. He wasn't a bad kid, but somewhere along the line, entitlement started creeping into his personality. I still blame myself for that. Maybe I protected him too much. Maybe I never let him feel the weight of life. I didn't want him to struggle the way I did. But in trying to shield him, I accidentally raised someone who believed the world owed him everything. He didn't care much about studying, didn't plan for his future, and whenever I tried to advise him, he brushed me off. When he turned 25, I retired from my job. I had worked for 32 years straight, and I had earned savings money that I planned to use for a peaceful old age. My lifelong dream was simple, a small home of my own, nothing fancy, just a place where I could rest without worrying about rent or shifting from place to place. But when Ian heard about the amount I had saved, something changed in him. He suddenly became very caring, constantly asking me how much I had, where I kept it, what I planned to do with it. At first, I told myself it was natural curiosity, but then the requests started. "Amy, can you help me buy a car? Amy, I want to start a business, just give me a little investment. Amy, this friend of mine has an opportunity. Just lend me some money." Every time it was something new. And every time I helped, but only to an extent. I wasn't stupid.
I knew he wasn't serious about any of it. He wanted easy money, shortcuts, fast luxuries. I kept saying no, politely at first, then firmly. That's when the resentment began. One night, he barged into my room and told me directly, "You owe me. You raised me, but I never asked to be born. Now it's your turn to give back." Those words stabbed me. I couldn't believe my own son, my baby, was looking at me like a bank account. Things escalated when I bought a small house for myself using my retirement fund. The day I told him he lost it, he screamed, accused me of stealing his future, and even said I was selfish. After everything I had done for him, that was the label he gave me. Selfish. I tried talking to him. I tried making him understand. I told him calmly, "This is my money. I worked my whole life for it. This home is my security." But Ian didn't want to hear any of it. He stopped talking to me for weeks. Then one day, I came home to find him inside my new house, sitting comfortably, feet up on the sofa, acting like he owned the place. He told me he was planning to move in, because as the only son, the property will eventually be his anyway. I was so shocked I couldn't speak. I told him firmly to leave. He refused. He yelled. He called me horrible names. It reached a point where I had to involve the police not to arrest him, but to remove him from the property. I thought maybe that would wake him up. Maybe he'd reflect. Maybe he'd come back remorseful. Instead, he took me to court. Yes, my own son sued me. He claimed that the house was ancestral money, that he had the right to it, that as the man of the family, he should be given ownership. I sat in that courtroom feeling like I had stepped into some alternate universe. Ian didn't even look at me as his mother. He looked at me as an obstacle, and then came the moment that broke everything. The judge asked him why he believed he deserved the property. He stood up, pointed at me with fury burning in his eyes, and shouted, "Because this old woman only knows how to waste what she never earned." I felt something inside my soul shatter into dust. I don't remember how long I sat there. I don't remember breathing. All I remember is the ringing in my ears and the realization that the child I raised was gone. Completely gone, so that's the situation I was in. A mother being screamed at in court by the son she sacrificed her entire life for. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause for a moment and tell me, what would you have done in my place? Because I genuinely want to know. Would you fight? Would you walk away? Would you forgive? What would you do if the person you loved the most tried to destroy you? When the court session resumed, I had two choices: settle privately and hand over the house to avoid further humiliation, or stand my ground and fight. My hands were shaking, my heart was breaking, but my mind was clear. For the first time in my life, I chose myself. I chose to protect the home I built with my sweat, tears, and youth. I told the judge everything. Every sacrifice, every bill I paid, every job I took, every dream I gave up, every ounce of love I poured into raising him. I had proof, receipts, documents, years of financial records, everything. The judge listened quietly. Ian's lawyer kept interrupting, insisting that a son is the rightful heir, but the judge wasn't moved. When the decision finally came, it felt like the entire world paused. The house was mine, legally, fully, undeniably mine. And more than that, the court issued a restraining order preventing Ian from harassing or attempting to forcefully take property from me again. Ian stormed out before the judge even finished speaking. He didn't look back, not once. In the weeks that followed, my phone stayed cold and silent. I kept expecting a message, an apology, a sign of guilt, but nothing came. Eventually, I heard from relatives that he moved in with friends and spent most of his time complaining that I had ruined his life. Did I cry? Yes, every night. Did it hurt? More than anything I've ever felt. But with time, I realized something important. I wasn't the one who failed as a mother. He failed as a son. Today I live alone. The house is quiet, peaceful, and sometimes lonely, but it's mine. A symbol of my life. my resilience, and my right to protect what I've earned.
And as painful as it is, I've accepted that sometimes the people you love the most are the ones who wound you the deepest. If you've listened to my story this far, thank you. Seriously, it means more than you know, and if you were on my side, if you believe I had the right to stand my ground, please like this video. It helps more than you realize. Make sure to subscribe for more stories like this, and tell me in the comments what you think about this entire situation. Was I wrong? Was I right? What would you have done? I'll see you all in the next story.